YouTube, SweetKnives here. Thanks again for visiting the channel. You are in for an amazing treat today. Let me show you what we're going to talk about. We got this in here. Who knows what that is? We got a few more Microtechs. Got another one here. We got this one here. We got these two. We got this. And we got a mystery box here. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like all this content. I thought about breaking this up into a lot of different videos, and then I thought, you know what, that's just going to be too difficult. So I thought, you know, let's just make one video, show all this stuff, and I'm going to get right into it with no further ado. Here we go. So if you have made it this far, truly, you are in for a treat. Let me start off by saying I really like sharp knives. Almost every single one of my knives is very sharp. Almost. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. This here is a buck knife. This is a 110. You've probably seen it. I use this one. This is an Alaskan Guide S30V special edition from Cabela's, but love this knife. So we're just kind of doing Saturday talk here. We're just literally just talking about different knives. I don't really have a lot to say, but what I wanted to say was there's only one guy that I know that can keep his knives as sharp as I do, and you know who you are. That would be my dad. He keeps his knives pretty sharp, and he was gracious enough to let me borrow these and kind of do a quick review on some of them. So this one here is from his collection. I want to show it to you. It's pretty sweet. I've never seen one like this myself, so I was with him when he bought it, but I've never seen one up until that day just quite like this. So let me bust into it. And I do like Microtech, by the way, a lot. I can get this paperwork out of here. Jesus. Sorry about that. There it is. Look at that. Look at that. Woo! Pretty fancy. Let me zoom in. That is the Scarab. And look at that. He just had to sharpen it. Did a pretty good job, too. Made out of Elmax. That's a pretty knife. This is the original Scarab. For those of you that aren't sure a lot about these knives, this here is the hardest knife I've ever used for deployment. Pushing this button, I guarantee you, most folks out there can't push this button up. It's that. I don't know what the pounds are, but it's a lot of pounds. I can, but I'm not kidding you. If you ever, the new Scarabs, which I'm about to show you, they are not as hard to do. So check that out. Look at that. It's got like a bronze finish. Look at the hardware. It's got those little awesome custom pins. And guess what? When you lay that on a surface, it lays on those little things so that you don't ding up your knife. In a lot of ways, I like this one better than the new one. And look at that tip. I've seen a lot of Scarabs. Very few have that tip. Most of them have a little pointed, they have a little pointed thing. I'll show you in a second. Then they have a little ball, like a carbide ball or something that goes in there, but not a lot of them have that tip. That's kind of unique. And this is like a traction type stuff here. I love this finish. Perfect finish. That's the Scarab. Pretty kick butt knife. I mean, really and truly, that is kick butt. As long as we're on the Scarab, let's bust out another Scarab. This is the one that you guys may have seen. Possibly a little bit newer. No, not a Scarab, my bad. Sorry. Get to that one. This one. Oh, why they make these so hard to get into. I've shown this one before, but I want to show it again. This one's mine, completely DLC coated in black. And now notice the difference in size on these. One is quite a bit bigger, and obviously the blade shape and stuff is different on this one, but these are both Scarabs. This is Scarab 2 and this is the original Scarab, just to give you kind of a side by side. And I have not sharpened mine. So he's one up on me. You know, like here, this is a good example of what I was talking about. Like, look at how they just use regular kind of torque screws, and then here they have their special bit. I kind of like the special bit better. And then here's what I was talking about. You know, this one's a little bit easier to push. It's still hard. Pretty nice. Those are the Scarabs, really nice knives. I like those. You can't go wrong. If you guys ever are able to pick up a Scarab, whether it be the Scarab 1, and look at the thickness there too. You can see the Scarab 2 is quite a bit thicker. Look at the buttons. A lot thicker on the Scarab 2 than on the original. But overall, same design. One's just a little bit bigger than the other. Not much, but a little bit. And this deployment is quite a bit easier. Doesn't seem like it when I'm doing that, but this is a little bit easier on this side here. So those are the Scarabs. Pretty sweet knives. So what else we got here? So he lent me another one, the old man, another one from his collection. This here is a bronze Merlot Ultratech. And look at that. Completely mirrored. And he uses this. Like, these are users for him, you know. Now, I just happen to have my own Ultratech. I like Ultratech. I got my own. I'll show you that one, too, just so you can kind of see the difference. I love that Merlot. I don't know if it shows up as well as I would like on camera, but here's the Ultratech that I got. Same thing. It's got that bronze. I don't know if you can see that, but it's now his is sharpened. That's what they look like when they're sharpened on the top. Mine's not sharpened yet. Another one up on me. Pretty nice knives. Let me show you in comparison to the Scarab 2, just so you can get a size or this is the Scarab 1. That's a look at the size, and let me see if I can get this other one here. Hard to get them all on, but it's a look. So 2 Ultratechs, full size. Then you get the Scarab 1 and the Scarab 2. Pretty cool looking knives there. Okay, let's move on to some other ones. I do really like these. These are lighter, a lot lighter. More. It seems like these would be more everyday carry, but if you got a Scarab, you're probably going to carry that one. So I don't know. It's hard to say like what what you want to carry. There's a lot of good knives out there. So moving on, I want to move on to some other type of knives. So this is a cool story. So about, I don't know, 15, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I came across some buck knives, and I ended up getting a really good deal on some buck knives. And I was thinking of splitting these up into different videos, but I wanted to do one video because this is another one from my dad. And the story on it is about 15 years ago, I came across some awesome knives, and I bought like 2 or 3 of this one. This is called the Kalinga, and it's a, you know, Buck has been making the Kalinga for many, many years. It's probably one of their most special knives that they make. I know that they're, I think it's the grandpa or great grandpa, he really liked this particular one, and I think he even named a sailboat, named it after a sailboat, I think, or something like that. Should probably have done a little bit more research to get my story straight. But anyway, it's called the Kalinga, and this knife here is really, you don't see it very often. You're not going to be able to get this in your Walmarts or Cabela's or different places. You will be able to find it in specialty shops or online sometimes. But what happens is they change the design over the years. So 15 years ago, I gave this one to my dad. And over the years, I had to sell mine, but he kept his. I just needed the money. And, look at that. I mean, I was going to polish this brass up. I didn't get a chance to do that, but that's the Kalinga, folks. I mean, check that out. I mean, that is one badass knife. It's model number 408, in case you're wondering, made in the USA. And it's made out of S30V, heat treated by the one and only Paul Boss. So look at the wood. They used a stabilized wood here. That's what they did. And so this is basically impregnated with resin and then vacuum sucked out, and that creates this stabilized wood. So in the old days, you probably have some knives that have wooden handles, and over time they get messed up. These ones will never get that way because they're stabilized with that resin. So it's almost like they're a plastic or something, but they're not. This is actual wood. I can't remember if it's like a rosewood. But one of the things I like about this knife is I love the grip in the hand. This contour here, it really makes it feel good. And then look at that. I mean, that is really, really pretty. It's a pretty cool looking knife. I mean, that is just really cool. I mean, if you like the Alaskan Guide, which I like that knife too. I mean, that's just a comparison. And this is a big knife right here. Look at how much bigger this is, fixed blade. But I mean, that is really a sweet looking knife. So I remember 15 years ago, this was a $200 knife, and that was a lot of money. It still is a lot of money, but back then that's probably like $500 or $600 now. I mean, with inflation and the way money is, who knows what it'll be in the future. But if you're looking at this someday in the future, these are really nice. And by the way, they have different designs. So this was like the design in the mid 2000s. But what I can tell you is before that, the blade shape always kind of looks the same. It's got this sweeping edge, and this kind of goes like this. So the blade shape has been modified a little bit. But what Buck does is they use different handles, and this looks a little bit different on some of the newer ones. Out of all the Kalingas that I've seen, this is my favorite one. Like, I really like this type of wood, this handle shape, this brass bolster pieces, and I like that it was made out of this S30V, heat treated by Paul Boss. Just an outstanding knife. And I should also mention, these sheaths have held up really well over time. So I want to show you something here. One of the things that makes this really cool is it's got this wrap around the bolster. So it's never, look at that, I'm pulling out. It's as snug can be. So Buck does this on a few of their knives. It's too bad every manufacturer doesn't do this, because on a lot of knives, on fixed blades, if you pull like that, you'll pull it right out. You cannot pull this right out. It won't pull out. So kudos to Buck. Unbelievable knife. Love that one. And I wanted to show it to you. So we're heading into the last ones, and they are some of my favorites, and you'll know why in just a second. This is a rare Buck Knife 2 made in the USA, and I want to show you the model number. It's 919, and this is called the Skinner. I used to have a couple of these. I don't know what happened to my other one. Now you see this and you're probably thinking, well, it doesn't look like much, but look at how thick that is. That is one thick knife. And if you're not sure how thick that is by just looking, that's a look at the the Buck 110. But look at the blade thickness here. That's, in case you're wondering what the thickness is, that's a quarter inch. Quarter inch. And so I liked that one so much. I said to my dad, I said, hey, why don't we try making some like that? Like, we can do it. You know, we got all the equipment and all the stuff. So we thought, all right, let's try that. So about 10, I think this would be about 10 years ago, maybe 15, 10 or 15 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but I think 10 years ago. And I loved how this fit in the hand. I said, let's make one. You know, let's try to make one. So that's what we did. And after a lot of tireless work and pain and everything else, we came up with our version of it. It's a copycat. Everything we made ourselves. This is the sheath. That's nothing is perfect, right? There's minor, things that are not, that you would get with a, an actually made knife. But this was the one we made. And it's very similar. Same shape. We used quarter inch D2 heat treated, and we made our grinds. We had our own heat treating oven, and we followed the right recipes for heat treating. We did all the work. We did the sharpening, and it's not perfect. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and kid ourselves. It's not perfect. This is actually our own custom made G10 or Micarta. It's not G10, but this is actually custom made. We made this. And the way that we made it is we watched some YouTube videos. I should have documented all this, by the way. This was before I was doing lots and lots of videos. But the way that we did this was we had layers of construction paper that were, I think it was a little bit better than normal construction paper, but basically it was construction paper, and we'd layer the papers with a certain type of resin, and that's what we did. We created our own blocks of this homemade micarta, and then we let it harden, and then we cut it with like a bandsaw, something like that. And then we shaped it on the belt grinders, and that's what we came up with. We came up with this, that's what we came up with. And then of course we, had to smooth it all out. And like I said, nothing is perfect. I mean, these were some of our first go-arounds on making knives. But I'll tell you this knife here is super sharp. And you can see here we ran into some problems, like I said. Up here, the tip is so sharp, we should have ground a little bit more right here. But it got tricky. We're not perfect knife makers, but that was our stab at it. I think we did a pretty good job. You guys, let me know what you think. That was our copycat. I know one thing. The ones we made are a hell of a lot sharper than that one. Here it is. This is the Skinner. Let's see if it can cut hair. Yeah, I can cut here. That's the Skinner. Now, we weren't just going to make one, so we made 2 or 3, 4. This one is mine here. This one was my dad's. This one is mine, and I like it. I actually like mine better than his. I like the color better, and I like the handles a little bit better. One thing I don't like, and this was when I was learning how to sharpen. I'll show you this in a minute. I was learning how to sharpen, and I actually messed up a little bit on the sharpening. And I'll show you that. This is the blade, and that's the grind. We had to build our own jigs to make our grind. This was the first ones we ever did, so it was a little bit sloppy, I would say. But what really got me was the sharpening. I was using these diamond stones, and when I was sharpening it, I accidentally hit right here. You can see that. I'm not proud of that. I'm probably going to redo this whole thing because the knife is still good, but I hit right there. Doesn't affect anything, and I've used this knife a lot, so it doesn't affect the usage of it, but it's just kind of cosmetically. I kind of screwed that up, but I learned, and I've never done that again on future sharpenings. Well, let's just see if mine can cut here. It should be able to, I think. Oh yeah, no problem. So guys, those are the homemade 919s, and I think they turned out pretty well. They're very sharp. They're very heavy. This is a heavy knife, and yeah, overall, I think they're pretty sweet knives. My sheath is a little different. The one I made, I used. This is just vegetable tanned leather. We weren't the best sheath makers back then either. But I used rivets on mine, and it works. Not perfect, but, it does work. It's solid. And this one here is my dad's. He stitched his a little bit better. It's tight, too, by the way. And yeah, those are some sweet knives for today. I wanted to show you. This is the original buck knife. That's the kind of stuff you can do, guys. If you got, some cool knives and you got the stuff, you can make your own stuff. And sometimes your own stuff might be a little bit better than what the factory does. But anyway, that's all I got today, guys. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button. A lot more cool stuff coming out. And yeah. Thanks again. Have a great day.